So, Selina, what happened?
It's interesting because they beat expectations on almost every front except for this fourth quarter guidance for earnings. And what that shows is that earnings were good, but not good enough. This stock does have a premium valuation. It's increased more than 100% since the beginning of this year, despite the tech sell-off. So this is sort of showing that perhaps the growth that they saw this quarter doesn't live up to expectations. And now there is concern that the core business may be slowing a bit, and that operating expenses are rising a little bit too much as they're expanding into other product lines beyond the core payments processing business.
How much could this have to do with Square CFO Sarah FRIAR's departure? She was very well respected.
Absolutely. I mean, there's already been a very negative response to her departure. The day after the announcement a few weeks ago, we saw the stock decline more than 10%. And Wall Street really credited her as being more than a normal CFO. They saw her as taking a lot of leadership responsibilities, as being a source of stability and growth, while the CEO has two jobs. He's running Twitter and Square. I mean, since she's joined, the company has expanded into several business lines. It's beat expectations almost every quarter, and she's done a really good job of guiding the street's expectations and serving as a marketing tool for the company as well.
Jack Dorsey is still running both Twitter and Square. You know, there are constant questions about, whether or not he can continue to do that and for how long. It's interesting because I've got this chart here in my GTV library that shows, both stocks have generally been up and to the right. Twitter has fallen over the last few months. There's been a lot of concerns about social media, misinformation. They've been doing that big account purge. But a few years ago, who would have thought that Square's market cap would be bigger than Twitter's?
It is interesting to see Jack really come into himself and really be respected far more as a CEO, especially one of two companies. But overall, Twitter is a far more volatile business. It's in social media. It relies on an ad business. Square has had much more stability, and part of that is because he's been able to hire this executive bench that's done a really good job of being quite autonomous, even though he's running two companies. When I speak to sources inside the company, they say it's a huge loss that Sarah's gone. However, they do have a leader for each line of business. They have someone running Square Capital, running Square Cash, running the core business, running Caviar, the food delivery business. So even without a CFO there, in the interim, they're still able to run at a rapid clip.
Right. You certainly don't see the executive turnover at Square that we have seen forever at Twitter.
Absolutely not.
What is the progress on finding a new CFO?
So we know that the search is on. They talked about it on the earnings call, that they're very optimistic about who they can find. They have some high-profile people leading the search. Sarah FRIAR said herself, in her opinion, of course, she is biased, but she thinks it's the best CFO job in the world. And Square is a very high-profile company, and it may not be the hardest CFO job, given that it is really executing on all cylinders. So it probably won't be too difficult for them to find a lot of eager candidates.